don't do this often. I don't. You saw me on Twitter. I was requesting a lot of people to come on this show and talk about what I got going in my mind, right or wrong.
No, you're totally right. Dead right.
And for those of you who don't know, this is my boy Harley from the lead. I think we have a banger podcast going. It's called the Space City Sportcast Podcast. Me and your boy, we record it every Sunday night, drop it maybe Monday, Tuesday, or as late as Wednesday. Not only we talk Texans, we talk Rockets, we talk UFC, boxing, we talk everything you want to. It's just a bros chat. It's just a bros podcast. You want to check that out? We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, where we are about to be everywhere. So check us out. But that's not why I brought you here, Harley. I think a lot of people are not talking about what's going to happen with Will Fuller.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yes, the season just ended, but I think this conversation needed to be had after he got suspended. There's no doubt in my mind that I think Will Fuller is a legit number one wide receiver.
Okay.
The question is how much money is he going to want? If I'm Will Fuller, I'm asking for a lot of money. I'm saying, look, you finally saw what I could do healthy. Granted, he was on steroids.
Hmm.
He was like, look, I could keep this up. I could keep on doing it. I think he's gonna request a big contract, and I think if we don't give it to him, someone else will. And I think he knows that as well. I mean, Aaron Rodgers must be salivating at the mouth, knowing that he
Yeah.
could potentially have Devontae Adams and Will Fuller. But here's the thing: if the Houston Texans let him go, I'm all right with that. I think there's enough talent out there, you know, that you could bring in. But here's how I think the conversation goes. I think you sit down with Will Fuller and I say, look, you got popped for steroids. You didn't crack 1,000 yards. You weren't there when we needed you, just like you've been your whole career. Of course, you don't say it like that. It's a little mean. But I'm gonna give you this contract, and if he doesn't want to let it walk, and you have two options. You have one option, and Odell Beckham Jr., who is gonna cost you way less money than Will Fuller, and you have Antonio Brown, who is also going to cost you a hell of a lot less than Fuller, and they can maybe do what Will Fuller did, but maybe even better. I think that's something that a lot of people need to take into consideration. That this also might be Will Fuller's last game as the Houston Texans was his amazing game against the Detroit Lions, because I'm really looking at this defense and it's trash. It's still garbage. You need
No.
to put all your assets into this defense. So I'm sorry if Will Fuller does not want to be here. I'm sorry if he's asking too much money. We know he wants to be here. If he's asking too much money, let him go. Because I know for a fact Antonio Brown wants to play with Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We think Odell wants to play with Deshaun Watson.
Yes. Rumblings.
Wouldn't you rather have that and spend the money that you're going to save on Will Fuller on defense?
Uh. Uh. That,
Because it's a possibility that it does happen.
that's a tough one for me. It really is. I am that. See, it's tougher because Will Fuller is gonna be a free agent. It'd be different if Brandon Cooks was a free agent
Yep.
as well, you know. But Brandon Cooks is still under contract, so you know you can still keep Brandon Cooks and let go of Will Fuller. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm a huge Will Fuller fan.
Yeah,
I know
me
what he
too.
brings to this Texans team. I literally did a whole video saying that Will Fuller can elevate this offense into a top 10 offense.
I agree.
There's stats with and without him that just showcase how needed he is for the Houston Texans.
I agree. But look at the situation we're in. We don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Watson has better chemistry with Cooks than Will Fuller.
Mm.
I mean, bro, look at the game on Sunday. I mean,
Mm.
We talked about it. Brandon Cooks was tearing up, 1,000-yard receiver. I think he restructures too and stays here because he says, I don't want to be traded. He says, I want to ball out with Deshaun Watson. I think he'd take a pay cut.
Hmm.
But I think, dude, that I think that's an option that needs to be talked about. I think that's something that nobody it's possibly it's a possibility of it happening. Not getting Odell, not getting Antonio Brown. That's all once, but the possibility that we might not have Will Fuller next year because somebody's gonna pay him, and it's not gonna be us unless he takes a hometown discount.
Yeah, I mean, up to him. He really banked on himself this year. He was really balling out. Was it because of steroids? Was it not? We'll never know the answer to that. But I mean, there's going to be teams that say, "I don't give a damn if he was taking the steroids. We're going to pay him," and that's worrisome for the Houston Texans. But again, the position they're in, they still have Brandon Cooks under contract. They're going to have Kiki QT. They got a guy in Chad Hansen who looked really good, really solid with Deshaun Watson. Only can get better from here, from at least I hope so. You're stuck with Randall Cobb. You're stuck with him. And it's sad to say that because that would be the guy we should be moving on
Yeah,
from.
agree.
But there's nobody in their mama going to take 18 million off the books for Randall Cobb. I mean, it's
Nobody.
a ridiculous contract. But going to Will Fuller, man, I don't know the way Deshaun Watson, and I feel like this is just a recency bias that we have with Deshaun Watson and Brandon Cooks. The way Deshaun Watson defended Will Fuller, that he did not want him traded, that there would have been problems if Will Fuller was traded at the trade deadline. That's what Watson implied in that press
He
conference.
said there was going to be hell to pay, but this isn't trading. You're not because if you trade Wolf Fuller at the deadline,
Yeah,
you're not a
facts.
buyer, you're a seller.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see it in baseball. You're either a buyer or you're a seller.
Mm-hmm.
That that shows all right. We've already given up in the season. Of course, a QB who has never been in a losing team is gonna hate that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But this is free agency, man.
Mm-hmm. It's a whole
That
different
money
beast.
that money can go to a defense. That you said it on the pod. Would you
Yeah.
rather have 12 mil for Brandon Cooks or 12 mil for William Jackson?
Yeah. I'm choosing defense.
I'm choosing defense because defense wins championships. And us as Houston Texans fans, I think we finally realized that a defensive coach is going to get hired.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Except to really like, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, let's not.
You got to build up this defense because no matter who Deshaun Watson has at wide receiver, he is going to ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cook stays.
Yes.
All those guys you mentioned. I mean, we talked about Greg Ward. Okay, that's cool. That doesn't
Yeah.
excite me. I love the thought of Odell here because he could do whatever Will Fuller does, and it's an
More.
ACL. ACLs
Mm-hmm.
don't mean nothing no more.
No, no, no.
And he was 1,000 yard receiver with Jarvis Landry
Mm-hmm.
uh, by his side. He could be even better than he was with Cleveland on the Houston Texans because of Deshaun Watson.
Yes, and that easy statement
Easy.
right there.
Now, let's say it's not Odell. Let's say the Browns do not cut Odell. Antonio Brown in 8 games has 483 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, he was posting pictures of him in Texans uniforms. I, and I, if you get Antonio Brown, okay, who's Will Fuller? Bye bye. You're getting somebody who is compared to has the skill set of a Jerry Rice.
The only problem with Antonio Brown for me is having a new head coach,
Yep.
a rookie head coach, and the general manager gonna get Antonio Brown. How you got to have a coach that's firm, and because the reason he works so well right now is because Bruce Arians ain't gonna put up with no BS, and he
Yep.
said it when he signed him. He said that you don't have Bruce Arians. I want to say a Robert Saleh can be somebody similar, but that's just a small sample size from what we see outside of California and San Francisco. Matt Eberflus, he don't look like that type of guy. Eric Bieniemy, again, outside outside of the box looking in, looks like he's a guy that puts people, assures people. again, this is Antonio Brown. This is a huge wild card to pair him up with a rookie head coach. That's a little bit of a risk. It's now if you're the Houston Texans, you've never taken a risk in your entirety of the
Exactly.
organization,
I'm glad you brought
and
that up.
and that is one thing that I actually wouldn't mind for the Houston Texans. I can see both sides of the fence on the argument. I can
Hmm.
see the pros. I can see the cons for Antonio Brown.
I will feel much worse if the Houston Texans give Will Fuller a contract, a good contract, and we don't have anything left for the defense. Because that's a real possibility of happening.
Mm, maybe.
I mean,
I mean,
yes, the cap is a myth,
yes. In
but we
some
screwed
ways,
ourselves with giving out horrible contracts.
yeah.
You will also get a comp pick for Will Fuller,
You would. You would.
maybe a 3, maybe a 4,
Probably a four. Probably
probably
a
a
four.
4. Okay, that's something you didn't have, and the possibility of not turning the absence of Will Fuller into a potential pick, money to use on the defense, and to maybe bring a better option for Deshaun Watson and Odell Beckham Jr. or Antonio Brown. I think the Houston Texans have to be looking at this because, like, I don't know how you cannot. This
Yeah. I
defense
mean.
is it has been neglected so bad that me
Hmm.
and you could go on there in that front seven and cause fucking havoc.
Sadly.
Sadly, I think this is one of the moves, one of the devastating moves, one of the frowned upon moves that we do.
Hmm.
But it is a move that the real fans will understand that you have to build a defense. And if I could get 1,000-yard receiver in Odell and Antonio Brown, who both are going to be less than Will Fuller, dude, I'm taking it, and that's going to be your first W of the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm somewhere there with you. I'm about 60% there with you, and I'm still a big Will Fuller fan.
I mean,
You
I
know.
love him. Wherever he goes, I'm going to be a big fan.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't want to pay this man off potential. Because
Hmm.
let's say we sign him to a big contract. He,
Yep.
go, he goes out there and gets hurt.
Yep. I know where this is going.
Now, you could say the same thing for Odell.
Yeah, you
You
can.
could say the same thing for AB.
Yeah.
AB doesn't miss games. Odell doesn't miss games. Now, if they get hurt, dude, you only spend a couple mil on them.
Hmm.
Whereas now, if Will Fuller gets hurt, you're now looking at a possible can he even play the game of football? And now you're in another situation where he's messed up his hamstrings, he's torn his ACLs, he's messed up his lower back. Let's be honest, the Royals did have a huge part in the way he played.
Hmm.
You don't go from being frail to being an absolute jack dude, puts on 20 pounds and blames it on his posture.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's
there's
the
agreement.
sad realization of it. Now we find out he's not on PEDs. He plays a full 16 games. I'm saying there's no question you bring back Will Fuller.
Hmm.
With the uncertainties of him next season, is it the him? Is it the Royds? I'm gonna say it's both.
Okay.
I think there's too. I think it's too big of a risk to put a lot of stock, a lot of money into Will Fuller.
Yeah. Again, still 60% there with you. Because how do we
Yeah,
know just because of one injury, and I know Odell Beckham's he's had a shortage of receptions and receiving yards with Cleveland since he left the New York Giants, okay? But I mean, how can we say that he's still not going to demand some money because of his name alone? Because of who he is alone, he's going to demand some money. I agree with you about Antonio Brown and the money. Odell, that's 50-50 for me.
I mean, isn't 1 year 12 mil still cheaper than what you're gonna get Fuller?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes
I
ish.
mean,
Yeah.
you have to talk about this man because
Yeah. Yeah.
I and not a lot of people are, and that is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because last thing I want is for us to be in a situation where we don't know Will Fuller is gonna end his contract with
It's
the
true.
Houston Texans.
That's true.
But that's what I had, Harley. Like I said, this was supposed to be a 10-minute video, but it got 15. But this is because this is a huge decision that
Yeah.
the new front office and new head coach and new GM are gonna have to make. So y'all, the fans, let us know what you think. We did a good job explaining both our sides. You didn't really just give all the way into me. I didn't really give all the way into you. We saw
Yeah.
each other's points. We both love Will Fuller. We think that he changes his offense and he's dynamic if healthy.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man.
But there is too many negatives if we sign him. If you sign Will Fuller, you don't have money for defense. You run the risk that he gets hurt
Yes,
because
that's a
now
big one.
he's gonna be off the roids.
Yeah,
People who get off steroids, their body changes.
that's
They're
true.
no longer producing all that hormones, all that testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I pray to God he don't get hurt. Like I said, I love him, but
Yeah.
that has to be to consideration.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, guys, let us know what you think. This was me and the lead. Hit us up on our podcast. I think we get crazy up in there, bro. I love it. I
Sure, man.
love
I
it.
love
But
it.
that's pretty much it, guys. Enjoy this long video. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a blessed day.